This morning, when I stepped into the garden, I saw that familiar winter scene again. The ground firm beneath my feet, the cold air slipping through my jacket, and the bare branches pulling in against the wind. Yet a few trees still stood calm and steady, as if the winter cold barely touched them. And they taught me something important. In cold regions, choosing the right fruit trees matters far more than how much care you give. Harsh winters have taken many of my trees, but they also revealed the true winter warriors, the ones that survive the cold and come back stronger each year. Today, I want to share those trees with you, especially if you live where winter runs long and you still want sweet fruit every season. All right then, let's begin. The first fruit tree I want to share with you today is the apple. If there's a tree born to live alongside winter, it's this one. Most people don't realize it, but many apple varieties can handle temperatures that drop all the way down to 30 degrees, 22 degrees. In places where winter settles in early and refuses to leave, that toughness is worth more than gold. What I love most about apples is their ability to rest wisely. During the cold months, the tree isn't weakening, it's preparing. The chill helps it set flower buds deep inside the branches. And the colder the winter, within reason, the more blossoms you'll see when spring finally rolls in. More blossoms, of course, mean more apples. If you want apples that are sweet, crisp, and full of flavor, give your tree a spot with at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. Apples don't demand rich soil, but they do hate standing water, so choose a place that drains well. One thing people often overlook is how wide apple roots can spread. They like their space. Keep the area around the base free of heavy digging, especially in the first few years. For cold climates, I always recommend hardy classics like Honeycrisp, Liberty, and Haralson. These varieties don't just survive winter, they thrive in it. If you live where winters run long, an apple tree isn't just a good choice. It's a reliable friend that returns with sweetness year after year. Next, let's talk about a fruit tree with a gentler spirit, one that quietly endures the cold without asking for much in return. The pear. If apples are bold winter warriors, pears are the calm, steady companions that rarely complain. Many pear varieties can shrug off temperatures around 25 degrees C, 13 degree creeks, and some hardy selections go even lower. In the coldest months, when frost creeps along the branches and the garden seems half asleep, pear trees keep their strength tucked neatly behind their smooth bark. What surprises most gardeners is how little pears demand. Give them sunlight, a patch of well-draining soil, and just a bit of patience, and they settle in beautifully. They don't fuss about soil richness. They don't panic when the weather swings between warm and cold. And they tend to leaf out a little later in spring than apples, which means late frosts are less likely to ruin the show. Pears do best with consistent moisture. Not soggy, just steady. A layer of mulch around the base keeps the soil cool and hydrated without much effort. And unlike apples, many pear varieties naturally resist a number of common diseases that trouble cold climate gardeners. If you're gardening in chilly regions, look for hardy varieties like Ure, Parker, or Luscious. They're dependable, beautifully flavored, and well adapted to long winters. The third fruit tree I want to share with you is one that brings both joy and a little bit of worry: the peach. Unlike apples and pears, peaches have a more delicate personality. They can handle winter surprisingly well, with many varieties enduring temperatures around 20 to 22 degrees to 40 degrees. But the real challenge isn't the deep winter cold. It's the spring. Peach blossoms are some of the earliest to appear, often opening just as the weather starts to warm. And that's where the trouble begins. A single night of late frost, Even just a brief dip below freezing can wipe out an entire season of fruit. I've had years where the tree looked full of promise in March, only to wake up one April morning to wilted blossoms and a harvest lost overnight. But here's the good news. If you choose late-blooming varieties, peaches can be surprisingly reliable even in cold regions. Varieties like Contender, Reliance, and Madison are bred specifically to handle unpredictable springs. They wait a little longer before blooming, giving your garden time to move safely past those cold snaps. Peaches love full sun, warmth, and soil that drains well. And unlike pears, peaches do appreciate richer soil. A bit of compost each spring goes a long way. Keep the center of the tree open so sunlight can reach every branch, and you'll notice the fruit growing larger and sweeter. And let's talk about a fruit tree that feels almost magical in spring. The cherry. There's something special about cherries. Maybe it's the blossoms. Maybe it's the way the fruit catches the sunlight in early summer. Or maybe it's the fact that a well-grown cherry tree feels like a gift you earn slowly, year after year. What surprises many gardeners is that cherries can handle cold far better than expected. Most hardy varieties stay comfortable down to about 25 °C, 13 °C, and they hold up well in regions where winters stretch on. The real trick with cherries isn't surviving the cold, it's managing their size. Left alone, a cherry tree can grow bigger than most small gardens can handle. But here's the part many people don't realize. Cherries respond beautifully to pruning, with just a little shaping each year, removing branches that cross, opening the canopy, and keeping the height manageable. You can maintain a compact tree that still produces bowls of fruit. Cherries love sunlight, good airflow, and soil that drains freely. Sour cherries tend to be the most reliable in cold climates, while sweet cherries offer incredible flavor if you give them a warm, protected spot. Hardy varieties like Montmorency, North Star, and Evans Bali are excellent for northern regions. Let me introduce you to a tree that doesn't get nearly as much attention as it deserves: the mulberry. If you want a fruit tree that grows with heart, strength, and almost no drama, mulberries might be the closest thing to perfection. Many hardy varieties can withstand temperatures around 30°C, 22°C, making them one of the toughest fruit trees for cold climates. What I adore about mulberries is how quickly they adapt. While some fruit trees spend years figuring out where they are, mulberries settle in fast. Their roots dive deep. Their branches stretch confidently. And before you know it, the tree becomes a part of your garden's rhythm. Even young trees often produce fruit earlier than expected, sometimes as soon as the second year. Mulberries come in 3 general types: white, red, and black. For cold regions, the red mulberry and its hybrids tend to be the hardiest. The flavor ranges from mild and honey-sweet to rich and berry-like, depending on the variety. Another gift mulberries offer is their resilience. They tolerate poor soil, wind, and unpredictable spring weather far better than many fruit trees. They also rarely struggle with pests or diseases, which is a blessing if you prefer a low-maintenance garden. One thing to keep in mind: mulberries can grow quickly. With a bit of pruning each winter, you can keep them at a manageable size and encourage better fruiting. The next fruit tree I want to share with you is one that often surprises gardeners in cold regions: the fig. Most people think of figs as a warm climate fruit, something meant for sunny Mediterranean hillsides. But here's the truth. Many hardy fig varieties can survive winter temperatures near 20°C, as long as they're planted in the right spot. What makes figs special is their ability to come back from the ground. In colder zones, The top growth may die back each winter, branches turning brown, brittle, and seemingly lifeless. But don't be fooled. Once spring arrives, new shoots push up from the base with incredible energy, often growing several feet in a single season. And yes, even on those fresh shoots, figs will still produce fruit. Figs thrive in full sun, and they love warmth more than any other tree on this list. The more sunlight they get, the sweeter the fruit becomes. A south-facing wall, fence line, or protected corner of the yard can make a world of difference. Good drainage is essential. Figs dislike wet feet, and a layer of mulch before winter helps protect the roots. What I love most is the variety of flavors. Honey-like, berry-rich, melon-sweet. Each fig variety tells its own story. For cold climates, try hardy favorites like Chicago Hardy, Brown Turkey, or Celeste. If you're looking for a fruit tree that's a little different but still perfect for cold climates, let me introduce you to the cherry tree. It's not a tree you'll find in every backyard, but once you get to know it, you'll wonder why it isn't grown more often. Cherry trees are surprisingly hardy, comfortably tolerating winter temperatures around 20, which makes them a quiet but reliable choice for northern gardens. What I love about the cherry tree is how naturally it settles into small spaces. It doesn't overpower the garden or demand much shaping. Instead, it grows with a gentle, rounded form, easy to manage, easy to prune, and easy to care for. Once it takes hold, it behaves like a tree that's been part of your yard forever. The fruit is where the magic really happens. Cherry fruit looks like tiny ruby-red spheres, almost like a mix between a mulberry and a lychee. The flavor is bright and refreshing, with hints of watermelon and fig. And since you'll almost never see cherry fruit sold in stores, growing your own gives you something truly unique to share. There is one detail to remember. For seedless fruit, you'll need a female tree without a male nearby. If a male is present, the fruit will develop seeds, changing the texture. Give cherry full sun, well-draining soil, and a little attention in its first year. After that, it becomes wonderfully low maintenance, rarely troubled by pests or shifting weather. If you want a fruit tree that brings warmth to the coldest gardens, let me tell you about the persimmon. It's one of those trees that seems simple at first glance, but once you taste the fruit, truly ripe, soft, sweet, and glowing like a little lantern, you understand why so many gardeners fall in love with it. And the best part? Persimmons are far tougher than they look. Cold, hardy American persimmons can handle temperatures down to about 30 degrees, 20 degrees, making them one of the strongest fruit trees you can plant in northern regions. Even the less hardy Japanese varieties, known for their incredible flavor and crisp texture, can usually manage 10 to 15 degrees, 5 degrees to 14 degrees with the right care. What makes persimmons so interesting is how gracefully they adapt. They leaf out late in the spring, which helps them avoid damage from late frosts. Their branching structure is naturally elegant, and even without fruit, they add beauty to the garden. But when autumn arrives, that's when the show begins. The leaves turn fiery orange and gold, and the fruit hangs like tiny lanterns long after the branches have shed their leaves. Persimmons prefer full sun, steady watering, and rich, well-draining soil. They don't need much pruning, just enough to keep the branches open so light can reach the center. And once established, they're remarkably low maintenance, rarely bothered by pests or diseases. And finally, neighbor. Let me introduce you to one of the most unusual native fruits, the pawpaw. Among all the cold, hardy trees you can grow, this one feels like a secret waiting to be discovered. Pawpaws are the largest native fruit in North America, yet many gardeners go their whole lives without tasting one. What makes it even more surprising is its toughness. Hardy varieties stay strong down 25 degrees, circa 1813 derfau, making it one of the rare, tropical-flavored fruits that thrives in cold climates. The flavor is unforgettable, a creamy mix of banana, mango, and vanilla, with a soft custard-like texture. When pawpaws ripen in late summer, the fragrance is so warm and sweet that it almost feels out of place in a northern garden. In the best possible way. Pawpaw trees grow with patience. They prefer partial shade in their early years and full sun once mature. Because their roots dislike being disturbed, it's best to plant them in a permanent spot from the beginning. And unlike many fruit trees, pawpaws need two different varieties to pollinate each other successfully. Their deep maroon flowers bloom quietly in spring, and by early fall, clusters of fruit begin to soften and sweeten. Pawpaws rarely struggle with pests or disease, which makes them wonderfully low maintenance. Neighbor, that's the end of today's video. I hope these cold-hardy fruit trees give you a few new ideas for your garden. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It truly helps the channel grow. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.